Hi everyone, welcome to How Do You Meditate, formerly called The Pollen Show. I am your host, Tyler Gravely, meditation teacher and wellness consultant. I am so grateful that you are here. This podcast is all about making meditation easy for ordinary people like you and me. I believe that when we are seeking meditation, we are seeking a lifestyle change that builds our strength mentally and physically, helps us find acceptance, instills personal growth, and unlocks the possibilities waiting for us. You can expect to hear stories on how other ordinary people find wellness in meditation and incorporate it into their everyday life. You will hear something in each episode that helps spark the light in you to shift and take control of your own mind, laugh, cry, and transform the space within so that you can answer the question when asked, how do you meditate? Let's dive in. This episode is sponsored by Arbonne 30 Days to Healthy Living. The 30 Days to Healthy Living is a program that offers you an approachable plan to get you on track with good habits that can support long-term wellness. It's a holistic approach focusing on a routine of whole foods coupled with vegan protein shakes and select nutritional supplements. It's taken me years to find something without the chemicals in it that actually works. You can find more on my website at tylergravely.com. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of How Do You Meditate? This is Tyler and I am so glad to sit down and get to have this amazing chat with you today about how to find relief from your stress. I know that these past 2 weeks it's been pretty interesting for a lot of the country due to the weather and our whole basic needs have not been met. The physical, the emotional, and it's really been a challenging 2 weeks. Last week's episode was all about awareness and finding that awareness within, building that awareness muscle. So I just want to build on today and have a conversation with you about what it takes to have less stress in your life, what that actually really looks like, and to continue the conversation on inviting you to a deeper connection and understanding for yourself. Is when you really are able to connect and understand more about you, you're able to connect and understand with more people, which will build your emotional resilience, which causes you less stress, which provides you relief from your emotions, which makes you laugh, which is exactly what you need right here, right now. And you can fall into the bliss that comes with this emotional freedom that you get to actually create. And we're going to talk about that today. Doesn't that sound awesome? I know that if somebody would have told me this a few years ago, I'd have been like, wait a minute, what? What are you talking about? Because I know that I am a very passionate, hardworking, driven entrepreneur. And I very rarely take the time to focus on myself. It's more or less go, 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 go. What do I need to do today? I have a very strict routine. And when I fall off that routine, I can start to really beat myself up. And so it's always coming back into that, well, what's my why? And what's your why? You know, if you're anything like me, you're probably very busy. You might say you don't have time for yourself. You might say you don't have time to meditate or time to sit down. And then life's going to throw a curveball your way and it's going to make you sit down. And we don't want that. We would rather do it on our own, universe. Quit throwing shit our way, okay? Come on, give me a break here. So how do you find relief from your stress? There's a great quote by Nelson Mandela, and it says, the greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Resilience is just this muscle, like anything else that you get to build. It's like a meditation practice. It's like your quads. It's like your biceps. It's like picking up your kid over and over again. You're going to build some arm muscles up. And that is what resilience is. So wherever you are right now, let's do a little fun activity. So if you're walking or you're in your car, I want you to touch something. So perhaps whatever's in front of you, just go ahead and touch it. Find something, a bush. Maybe you're on a walk with somebody else. You can touch your headphones. Find something. All right. And now I want you to find something else to touch. Awesome. Now, how many of you used your hands to touch something? If I had to guess, I'm going to guess that you all did. And did it even come to mind to touch something with your elbow or with the knuckles of your hands, with your feet? Our bodies are so full of senses and nerve endings. We could touch our back to a wall. We could do anything. And we realize that in this moment, there's another perspective. There's another way to reach out and touch something, and you will figure it out. Last week, when most of Texas ran out of water and electricity, the interesting part is people figured it out. There were people using snow to melt to flush their toilets, which is not normal, right? Not a normal circumstance, but we have to do what we have to do. There were people who figured out ways to cook in their house dependent upon the circumstance. There's like, oh, well, we have a grill, or crap, we don't have anything. We got to get somewhere. It was completely a very real moment of building resilience. And the word resilience actually comes from the Latin word resilio, which means to bounce back or to retaliate. And that is what we were doing. We were bouncing back. We were retaliating. We were figuring it out. And I will mention that resilience takes a lot of courage. I mean, courage to figure things out, and it takes courage to look within, especially when you feel as if perhaps there's something wrong with you. Who wants to look at that? I think when you go back to that quote from Nelson Mandela, and he's talking about falling, it's like if we had this perspective of like, oh my gosh, I fell. Yes. Okay. Gonna learn not to go down that path again. Amazing. I can't wait. Instead, sometimes, if not a lot of the time when I'm speaking to people, it's I freaking failed, and there's guilt and there's shame. And as I was talking to Michonne yesterday, who was on a prior episode about habits, she said, what does guilt and shame do? What does it actually do for you? It doesn't serve anything. And I think the biggest person if you want to learn more about guilt and shame, is Brene Brown, who really dives into that. It doesn't do anything for you. And so when we look at our life stressors, it sounds a lot like, to me, when you're building this emotional resilience and the stresses and the building up, there's a part of us that also has to come to a place of acceptance. And that is a huge yoga thing for me. I learned about acceptance of your own body, acceptance of your own emotions, acceptance of who you are, non-judgment. And I wish that we were all in a room together so I could say, hey, raise your hand if you feel like you accept everything about you. I don't know that if we were in a room together that all of us would raise our hands and say like, oh yeah, I totally accept everything that life has offered me and everything about me. And I see it every week when I meet with these women in a mastermind. All of us, myself included, are seeking to understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, okay, how we're doing it, and building these businesses going from the ground up, which is, if you ever want to know anything about personal development, start a business. That's all I'm going to say about that. Just start a business and you'll figure out everything there is to know about you. Whew. So going back to this emotional resilience, it can be like, you can be born with it. It is a trait, like when you're born into it. And this is where I'm very, 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 very passionate, because I want people to have a steady and rock solid home life. And I don't want their parents to fight in front of them. And I want there to be this security, because when you can create this deep amount of security in a child, the resilience is better. There's not a lot of healing that needs to be done, or it doesn't seem as if, because I have a couple of friends who grew up in that world and they don't need as much awareness training as I do, right? And so just like anything, it's a new habit, and you have to look at it as such. And you have to look at it like, hey, like for example, and this might sound silly, but most people are like, I want to fit into that bikini, or I want to fit into those shorts, or I want to be able to take my shirt off. And what do you have to do in order to get that body that you want? Well, you have to go to the gym for a couple hours a day. You have to change your diet. There's a lot that goes into that. Now, you really have to understand from that perspective that it's going to take some work, and it's going to take some courage, especially if you haven't been to the gym in forever. I can remember teaching yoga and people coming in there for the first time, and the look on their face, they're scared, but they were there. They were so there for it, and they kept coming, and it built up confidence, and it built up resilience, and they were stronger mentally, physically, emotionally by showing up to something that they were scared of, right? And you have to want it badly enough. So I love this question. What would have to be at stake here in order for you to look at yourself inward, and in order to you to build some emotional resistance around whatever it is that you're feeling? Like, what would really have to be at stake? And that's a very deep question. It's a very almost like when I think about, let's say somebody said, Tyler, you can't, in order to find emotional resilience, you're going to have to give up pizza. I know that's like silly and a stupid analogy, but it's true. It's like, I would just freaking be like, oh man, that's pushing it, because I love pizza. I love pizza so much. What would have to be at stake is the fact that if I wanted my dream life, if I wanted the man of my dreams, if I wanted children, if I wanted a house, if I wanted freedom from dropping at the ball of a hat anytime somebody said something mean to me, that's what would have to be at stake. All of the things that I really, really want would have to, I would give up that pizza, but you're looking at it from such a deep perspective in a deep way. And you have to go, oh my God, okay, I'll do it. And it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And if all my runners out there probably get this, and once you start a marathon, I don't know if anybody's ever done this training. I did a half marathon with Hal Higdon's training years ago. And I was like, I can't even run a mile. Like, it was back when I was going through a divorce and I needed something. God help me, I needed something. And it was a way to build up a positive habit, something new. And I was like, I don't know if I can run a mile. And then I don't know if I could run 2. And then by the time I got to like running 5 miles, I was like, oh, it's not so bad. I could go 7. Okay. And you just start building it up. That is awareness practice. That is noticing this thing inside of you, like who's doing the thinking, who's not, and where did I learn that, and why am I thinking that? And it takes courage to look at that. And then you've got to have a little bit of humility to laugh at it, because if you can't laugh at yourself and your silliness of being, you're just going to judge it, and you're going to want to just beat yourself up. And that's when the guilt and the shame, they come back into play, and it's not okay, because that doesn't do anything for you or for anybody else. So it's having this ability to laugh at it and think of it as being funny. I don't know why, but like right now, what's coming to mind is my mom. And my mom, growing up, she can be very, very hard on herself, and she's very, very hardworking. And then she said something to me not too long ago where she said, like, she always wants to call and, like, let's say, that's what women do. We vent to connect. We talk about work. We need somebody to share all of our stuff with. It's so fun. And I love her for it, because I call her to do the same, like, Mom. And, she was like, you never let me off the hook. And she said, I can call you and you're always trying to share like a different perspective about it and not necessarily like, oh, that's the truth. That person's such a bitch, excuse my language, but that's what it's like. I don't like staying in that energy. And when she calls and we talk, I can appreciate her humanity. And I always trying to open up her perspective. And she said that was one thing that she loved that I didn't give into her. Isn't that cool? Like, I feel like having children is such a cool thing because I feel like our kids really show us stuff, show us our stuff. So the next thing about building emotional resilience is you have to believe in a higher source. How can I explain this to you? Because some people have like a really deep faith. It's just ingrained in them. They grew up in church. Somehow, some way, they trust the process. They believe in it, and they're just good about it. Whereas I, on the other hand, haven't always trusted the process, and maybe you haven't either, or trusted the faith. It's one of those things that it's recently come to mind when stuff has, like the rug basically gets pulled out from underneath you is, okay, why is this happening for me and not to me? Why is this happening for me and not to me? And it takes away the victimness in it, and it opens up the door, just like that beginning exercise. Even with COVID, we have learned to not press the button in the elevator with your finger. It's like, well, can I touch it with my elbow, or can I touch it with my knuckle, or do I have something in my hand that I could touch it with? It's that perseverance to move forward in a safer and healthier way. And that is what we're doing. So when you believe in this higher source, how do you touch that? How do you feel that? Well, one, that is meditation. Meditation is this opportunity to objectively look at your emotions and understand what is happening inside. It's watching the storm and understanding that it's all temporary. It's like standing there and just letting it pass you by and understanding that it will not be there forever. It's this non-attachment to all of the things in your house, in your car, your people in your life. Like everything around you is changing, and it will change. You're not the same person that you were yesterday, a week ago, 2 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago. It's always funny because I'll say like, oh, younger Tyler would not have done that, would have gone a different direction. And it's with building that awareness, you start to seek what actually you need and what actually makes you feel better. And I will say this about emotions. So emotions are fleeting, and emotions are not honest, and they do not have your best interest at heart. Emotions do not have your best interest at heart. Emotions and feelings, if we're always craving to feel happiness and we're always craving to feel connected to spirit, it's almost as if that will never happen. It's a weird trick of the universe. I don't know how to explain the science behind it. I think I should bring like a psychologist on to talk about that, because you can't trust your emotions. You can be watching a scary movie and you can feel scared on your sofa. Like, oh my God, this is so freaking scary. And you're like, your heart hurts, it's palpitating, you're feeling really scared. And are you? No, you're not, because you're on your sofa and you're safe and your doors are locked. But your body's in that mode of like fear and scared and your security, but you're not, And so how do you trust that? Because your body right there is telling you, like, go hide in the closet. You're not safe, but you are safe. So that's the bigger self overriding that particular emotion of feeling safe when you know you're safe, you're in a safe place, but you're feeling something else. So when you're feeling connected to that higher place, the higher place is the new age of like, it's all love and it's light and it's awareness and it's acceptance and it's non-judgment. It's the place that you can objectively look at things and go like, like my friend Shannon, she goes, isn't that interesting? Like it's in a place where you can watch somebody and not react to it. Like you can see that they're in their stuff, and we all have stuff. We all have it. It's like when somebody's spinning out and you know they're spinning out and you're like, And some of us have those triggers within us to look at somebody and then we are totally and completely like triggered by it. So like, let's say, for example, you grew up in a household where your parents fought, and then you grow up and you start dating somebody, you marry somebody, and y'all are fighting. And it's completely normal to do that and do this. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, wait a minute. Why are we fighting? And maybe, you wouldn't even know what to do if somebody wasn't fighting back with you. Like, what if somebody stood there and like they were just in this place of like, I'm going to let them be human, and they're just emotionally holding space, and you're just like in a tizzy, in a spin-off. And what would you even do? You'd be like, this is weird. This doesn't feel right. Normally when I fight, you fight, we fight together. So crazy, right? So coming back into this spiritualness, thinking about having that place, that connection, that ability to hold the space. An addict will freaking spin out when they don't have their drug of choice, whatever that might be, because it's what they thrive on. And we all have vices. Like, just imagine going back. What is your vice? My vice is pizza. What is your vice? What do you need? Sugar, cookies. We all have something. So when somebody takes that away, it's like your one little pleasure, you're going to find something else to find a pleasure in, because we're human beings and that's okay. We like to feel good. I know more than anything, I love being in love. I love it so much because it's just this beautiful place to be. And it's also, how do you create that longevity type of love? The love that lasts forever, the love that holds space, the unconditional type. So that's feeling connected. That's being spiritual. And the way you do that is starting a meditation practice for 10 minutes every day. Just sitting with who you are. What are you feeling? What do you smell? What are your senses? And that's something you can go back to the episode 44 and really pay attention to and listen to over and over and over again to slow down. And you'll start to feel a depth in your soul, I promise. And then lastly, this whole conversation, we need community and we need support to build on this resilience. We saw it so beautifully come to hand when Texas was needing so much help. We needed support. We needed somebody to listen to us. Like, how many of you, I was like, holy crap, that was a hell of a week. And I want somebody to hear me kind of cry about it for a second. I feel like I need to cry about it. It was really freaking scary. That's what your moms are for. That's why you call your mom or you call your best friend, because they always listen. You just can't get through it alone. And what you need to hear perhaps may be on the lips of another human being. How many times have you stepped into a store? Who shared this podcast with you? What is going on in your life that something is being said that you're like, this is the third time I've heard this. Like, holy crap. Okay, that must be a sign. That's something. There's a reason for it. I know so many cool stories about people going into the grocery store and somebody just randomly coming up to them and saying like, hey, I don't know why, but I need to tell you this. I don't know why, but you need to hear this. I mean, what? it's so cool. What about the times where, have you ever been in this situation too, where you're thinking of somebody and they call you, or you're like, I've been meaning to reach out to that person. It has happened so much lately. And I think that the universe is trying to say we're all connected. We all need each other. And there's this emotional healing that has to happen, that life stresses need to be let go of. So I'll leave you with this quote. The secret of health for both mind and body is not to mourn for the past, worry about the future, or anticipate troubles, but to live in the present moment wisely and earnestly. And that is from the Buddha. Say it one more time. The secret of health for both mind and body is not to mourn for the past, worry about the future, or anticipate troubles, but to live in the present moment wisely and earnestly. We've said a lot today, and I hope you'll take this into account of what you need to ease your life stresses. Can you possibly start by just meditating for 10 minutes? Listen to that awareness meditation, see what happens. And I want you to, more than anything, know that courage lives inside of you. We all have it. It is scary that first time you step into a new gym or a new studio and you're like, what am I going to do here? How are they going to be? Your brain, it's natural to want to know all of that. And then as you get going, it's so cool. The confidence will come. So I love you guys. I'm so grateful that you're here. We will be back next week. And I'm bringing on, this is really cool. I'm going to start bringing on women, since March is Women's Day and it's all about women, doing these personalized meditations and bringing them on to share their experience. It's going to be awesome. I think that a personalized meditation takes the trouble out of you searching the internet over and over again for the right type of meditation. What do you need? What would serve you and your highest good right here, right now? So that is coming up. And I can't wait for you to listen in and hear all of that. So we will talk soon. Have a great week. If you need anything, I'm here. Join our Facebook group. I do free meditations on Monday nights, 4:10 to 4:30 Central Standard Time. They are recorded in the Facebook group, so you can watch them at any time. And what else? I don't know. I think that's it for now. We can do reviews on Netflix shows another time. All right. Take care. Bye.